Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flicks discussion of Breaking Bad. We are 5 episodes left now.
5 left, yes.
5 left, yeah. This is the third of this half season. Confessions, the title of this episode. Brett, Alonso, Ben. Man, these are so good. They're such good television, and what makes it, I think, particularly great is that some of the things that I thought in seasons past weren't that great were actually very important, and they were setting up things that we're literally seeing now.
Yeah.
Like loose ends where you thought, how could they just forget about this? And nope, they didn't forget about it. They knew it was coming. It was just going to take 3 years to get there on a television point of view. So what was the theme here?
Oh God, we're gonna do this. The title of the show comes from the fact that Walt has just checkmated Hank brilliantly by taping a confession in which he makes Hank out to be the mastermind, and that Walt was forced to go along with it and to cook meth for him. Oh, and he was forced to pay for Hank's PT rehab, which was news to Hank.
170. Oh, Marie, what have you done? There's Cliff Robertson line in to Robert Redford in 3 Days of the Condor, where he says, "Oh, you poor dumb son of a bitch. You've done more damage than you know." And I felt like Hank needed to say that to Marie.
So I think Hank has definitely, for the moment at least, been painted into a corner. There's a great showdown between Walt and Skyler and Hank and Marie regarding the kids, where they're telling them to butt out. That's taking place at the tackiest Mexican restaurant possible.
Which is a real restaurant.
Okay, well, my apologies. I'm sure the chalupas are delicious.
Whatever they said, the taqueros.
Yep. I love it. That's the quietest I've ever heard one of those. It's great where it's like there's so much that's plausible in the show, and there's so much
having
that's
a birthday. That's the only reason.
Still, I remember I've never been in a quiet Chili's where I can look at someone and have a conversation.
Remember Farrell's ice cream?
Oh, totally,
oh God, those places were.
I had a birthday at Farrell's.
But I love the idea that you set up a meeting in a restaurant, and they don't. Most movies and TV shows don't acknowledge the fact that no matter how serious your meeting is, you're still going to get Chet coming up to offer the margaritas and the guacamole made at your table.
And by the way, that restaurant advertises on its website tableside guacamole.
That's fantastic.
There's a theme, I guess, in this. They've done once last week and then once in this most recent episodes 2 and 3. This idea that a big hand is going to be played, but the person playing the hand does leave open a slight option that you could get out of it, even though you don't know the hand is going to be played yet. Lydia did it when she was like, use Todd. And I guess if they'd said, yes, we'll use Todd, they'd all still be alive. But although I don't know what the communication method was there, but she did say, I rewatched that one last night before I saw this one. I rewatched the end of it with my girlfriend because she hadn't seen it. And so when she says about Todd, I really wish you'd give him another chance. But now I'm going to have to, now you're all going to die. And Hank does the same thing. Hank's like, I made this confession, but Walt says I made this confession, but I'm not going to lay it on the table if you say, okay, I guess that's it. And then he keeps it in his pocket. But then when it was clear, he has the look with Skyler, and he's like, okay, now we gotta drop the ace on him.
Right. Now, speaking of Todd, this episode begins with him blabbing about the train robbery that he's not supposed to be talking about. And so, of course, the tension is he going to talk about the dead kid? Is he going to talk about the dead kid?
Right.
And he wisely, cuts that off.
But then later to have the imagery from the beginning of the episode with the dead kid come back when they're all out in the desert and there's a tarantula walking down walking around. And that's what I like in final seasons of shows. I like to have a good mix of new stuff and old stuff coming back, and I love the idea of the tarantula walking.
You like a callback.
I love a good callback, and this had it, and it's all about those loose ends. That's what the tarantula is. The tarantula, which, if you remember, was in that scene with the train heist, and the first scene in that episode is the kid going through the desert on his dirt bike, finding a tarantula, putting it inside a jar,
right.
and locking it up.
Right. And then when he dies, the jar falls to the ground, and I think doesn't Todd pick it up?
Yeah, I think Todd picks it up. Yeah, he takes it with him. Yeah. And so now that tarantula is out and about.
I wonder if
being a symbol.
That's what's going to be.
All simply.
I wonder if that's going to be was it the same tarantula? I think it was.
They might have the same wrangler.
Yeah, exactly.
It already had a contract, and they had it on half price if it came out.
I wonder if the kid is going to be the undoing.
The kid, Todd, or the kid?
No,
the dead kid?
because Todd has now blabbed about this, that maybe, I like that he didn't mention it to the neo-Nazis, not necessarily wisely, but also because the story was making him a hero in these guys' eyes, and even neo-Nazis might think, oh, you shot a white kid, and he lives in rural New Mexico. He's definitely not Jewish.
I was worried. I don't know. There's a desert wandering theme there. There's I was wondering if that other guy might.
Desert.
What if that guy's an undercover plant?
I'm just now curious whether that will be there. Like that now these guys, now more people know about the train robbery. It was a great train robbery, I thought too. It was a pretty good train robbery. What I like about it
is it's like, we're going to do a train robbery scene. Why not? We have this show that everyone watches, and we've all wanted to make that train heist movie. So,
of course, Walter White just knows how to do this, because it's a chemist.
But maybe these guys will, at some point now, knowing about the train robbery, figure it out with the kid. And look, they're neo-Nazis. Those guys they pretend tough. They're not real tough. If they got to make a deal, they'll make a deal. So maybe, I don't know, I'm just wondering whether if the thing that gets Walt from a criminal point of view, if it's not cancer that gets him at the end of the show, is it going to be that you murdered a kid?
Well, and speaking of murdering kids, or almost murdering kids, this is the episode where Jesse finally figures out that Walt was behind the poisoning of his girlfriend's son, Brock, by finally putting together the whole missing cigarette complicated thing, which I admittedly found tricky to follow, but it all kind of comes together now, and so he's put those pieces together, and he realizes that this was no boating accident, that Walt actually deliberately poisoned this kid to turn him against Gus, and so now Walt will pay. Although I don't know how Walt exactly is going to pay, because this episode ends with Jesse dumping gasoline all over the White residence, but we know from the flash forward that the White residence has not burned down.
Right. So either Jesse has a moment of, wait a minute, I'm not going to burn down Skyler's house and the two kids' house, right?
And also, he
Walt
poured gasoline all over the camera. Those are expensive. And that last part, he's just, all right, let's get this shot.
VP is like, no!
It's going to come right out of his check. Or Walt gets there and talks him and stops him.
That's what I like the most about, there's the element of this episode where it's Walt convincing people of stuff, and we've had 5 episodes of Walt, having the ability to, in that moment, coax people into doing things. And we see it happen with Jesse, and we see it happen with Skyler, or at least lying. So with Jesse, we have him try to, as he's pitching Jesse on, you gotta leave, you gotta start fresh. I was asking myself, is Jesse gonna believe this again?
Right, yeah.
And I was so happy when he was like, just tell me what you want to do.
Stop playing me.
And then Skyler, that moment where he goes to get the gun from the vending machine at the car wash, I was thinking to myself, is Skyler going to buy into this? Because I think there was an era where Skyler believed stuff, and then there was that era where Skyler just didn't care and just poured huge glasses of wine for herself and walked into pools. And this one, she's just not even tuned in anymore. Right. There's a great portion of one scene where she's just staring off into nothing.
When he comes into the office, but I read this somewhere last night. I read so many pieces about this because I was totally confused by the cigarettes.
I don't understand how did that trip in him?
I got it now, and I think it does work. But but Walt's capable of being this mastermind liar, and then when he's just playing regular old Walt, his lies are those Skyler lies were. The vending machine it's got a click,
really
it's got a thing, right? And then he's like, the prescription, I've got chemo brain, I gotta go get it was so lame.
But I will say though, the videotaped confession is him basically doing Walter White. He is Heisenberg now. He does Walter White when he needs to, and he does Walter White brilliantly in that confession. The tears, the stammer, all that stuff. So he can still whip it out when he needs to.
I don't think it's anything existing.
He can do it awkwardly.
When he's Walter White, he's incompetent. When he's Heisenberg playing Walter White or doing anything, he is a criminal mastermind.
And I just think that Skyler doesn't even give a crap. She doesn't care. or she just isn't even tuned into
No,
him.
she has a lot of staring off screen in this episode. I think she's all about the long game at this point.
Yeah.
She's all about where is this going to wind up? Who dies first? Does he die before he gets caught? Does Hank, whatever? So the day to day, she's like, you gun in the soda machine, whatever. I don't care.
At some point, she's going to have to. He's got to go. Obviously, we know that he goes. Presumably, we're seeing
Away to
New
Hampshire,
to where, right? And so to meet Jim Beaver a year later and get a gun. So maybe it begins because one of the things that will get her back is going back to her house and seeing that a fire was started there to punish Walt for his deeds. She may think, oh, my kids aren't safe.
Yeah.
And I'm curious whether Walt is going to say, I brought some gas in and I spilled it. If he's able to,
the car's not in here.
right, but I don't know.
Get paint off of this table, and
But that's going to be because he's incapable of lying effectively to Skyler if she's paying attention, right? I think so. I don't know how he's going to. I don't know how he's going to solve that one, or maybe he isn't.
Chekhov always says if you pull out a gun from a soda machine in Act 1, you really need to fire it in Act 3.
Buy an RC.
Speaking of Skyler, did you guys read Anna Gunn's New York Times op-ed piece about the vitriol that fans have had for Skyler because they have been on Team Walter no matter how awful he gets, and apparently that's turned into not just vitriol for the character but for the actress. Like she's gotten death threats online. It's insane.
She has taken, she said, she wrote in the piece, some measures to protect herself. I don't know whether it's just a home alarm system or whether she hired a bodyguard, but it's insane and crazy. But more interesting, I thought, was her point, and it applied some to Carmela Soprano. Like, do people have a problem with women who don't just sort of roll over for their criminal, who question and sort of stand up for their, like, do we need, and because the objection to her, because I did it too, like I thought, I never wrote anything bad about Anna Gunn or wished Skyler weren't on the show or anything, but there were moments when I was like, oh, come on, Skyler, stop being such a puss, stop ruining everything. You're such a bitch,
Don't you realize that this show is my escape?
Right.
And I need you to facilitate that.
I felt like she was the voice of me, because I'm a wuss, I guess. I'd be like, what are you, crazy? You can't be a meth kingpin. We have kids in the house,
Right. No, and one, I'd already turned around. Two, she's such a good actress. And three, her piece is great, and you should read it, and it's convincing about what it says about so many of us that we still want women. We don't want women to take on this sort of powerful a role in a show, certainly about men, even if the men are hugely flawed.
More behind her if she turned into if she was good at laundering money, say. If she took an active, awesome, capable role.
If she became Talia Shire in Godfather 3.
Yes.
Yeah. It's weird that because these shows, again, that difficult men book, where they talk about how, you've got these anti-heroes, you've got these, they're protagonists, but they're by no means heroes. But we are so conditioned to root for them no matter how in the depths they get, that anybody who stands in their way is automatically a villain. And so if it's the wife, you just think, oh, that shrew harpy, why isn't she letting him murder more people?
This is a show that is much more interesting in that regard because they've challenged it more, the difficult men thing, even though they're protagonists and flawed. Because, Gandolfini as Tony, like, you saw the warmth consistently, and he was killing other people who you didn't really care about. Right. Homeland, again, there's a warmth there, and he suffered for 10 years in underground in Afghanistan or Iraq, and you feel for him. Michael Chiklis in The Shield too, but that one was. But Walt is just evil, and when he's not being evil, he's lying to the people he loves in a manipulative way.
It's tough.
The whole thing started like, oh, I want to take care of my family, but then clearly spiraled out of over there. I'm sorry.
With The Sopranos, Carmela knew that he was into crime at the get-go, and this is a transformation.
Yeah,
and the question is, and I said when I watched the whole thing, once, 2 years ago, and to catch up with where it was, and then recently I watched the whole thing again, and this time, the second time through, you really see the pacing and the real acceptability from an audience perspective of Skyler's transformation from someone who is shocked through someone who's like trying to keep it together for her family to someone who is just completely shell-shocked again, and now where she is, where it's like, I'm just gonna wait and see.
But there was, and I fell for it too. That's all, I believe all that. And then but then sort of almost in contrast to what she wrote about, she has this moment in the last episode when Walt collapses, and they have that conversation where she, he's like, look, just, we'll keep the money, I'll turn myself in. And then when she says, Hank doesn't seem to have anything yet. Yeah. And he looks at her like, oh my God, you're still frickin' with me. Yeah. Like, we're still in this together.
Yeah, that is an extraordinary scene. Yeah, so I just, I love how they are laying out any number of, even though we have a flash forward and we know some things, how we get from point A to point B is still baffling.
I was sure that Jesse was going to go away and he was going to go to North Carolina and Walt was going to have to like track him down and find him. I thought, when that car pulls up to pick Jesse up, I thought Jesse was going to go. We weren't going to see him for a while, and we would.
There was somebody who wrote the.
Oh, Matt Seitz at Vulture said that he thought that the minivan guy was going to kill him on Walt's behest, and I don't know that. I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I wouldn't be shocked if that were the case either. But I don't think that was his.
I just think they would have killed him in the desert.
Well, yeah, exactly. And if they were going to kill him, his walking away wouldn't have saved him. The guy would have gotten out of the minivan and killed him.
Yanked him into the minivan or something, right? I mean, so I don't think that holds up. But I don't know. There were then we had the neo-Nazi, like that blood's not flushing, I think.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah. You never flush a paper towel.
Right. Don't flush a paper towel. It says so right there.
Especially at like a rinky-dink diner in the desert.
Right.
A rinky-dink Nazi-friendly desert diner. So he wipes the blood off from killing all the people out in the Arizona desert.
DNA sample.
Right.
I wonder.
Is that going to come back to anything?
I don't think so.
I don't see how it could.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like, this just happened. Just so you know, they just came from it. Because you want to find out where they pick up.
It suggests
MacGuffin diner,
But it suggests, and I read it also, which is more likely, that it suggests, like, look who's in charge of this now. These guys are so sloppy.
Oh, absolutely. They're driving through the desert with this big thing behind them.
Right.
Jamming and stopping for dinner with a tank full of...
Right, and talking about it openly and throwing their blood away and not having it flush. Yeah. Like these guys, I mean, this operation, now it's not going to take a super sleuth to uncover, to crack this case down.
That's the theme of it, especially because, that she got rid of one entire syndicate because they were making terrible meth. And the guy that they replaced him with is only like 71%.
74%.
74%.
So I'm sure there's some sort of.
But that was his first batch.
There's some sort of corporate metaphor probably going on for all of this stuff.
That's right, totally.
Like outsourcing.
The better the CEO you know.
But I still think that it's less likely to be the kid in the desert, even though I brought that up before, that the undoing is like the Czechs have to enter into it. We have to have some evil gun-toting, which I suspect is why Walt is arming himself. I feel like he's arming himself in the flash forward against the Czechs.
I just hope
there's pointless protection. Because those are such great movie bad guys, the generic former Soviet bloc, right? Yeah.
We haven't been relevant for 15 years.
I'm just hoping there's more dipping sauces involved, from Lydia's company.
Dipping sauces are so great.
I think that one of the big emotional climaxes of this show is going to be Walter Jr. finding out, because he is the last to know, and he is still devoted to his father. And I think when he discovers what his father's been up to, and that his whole computer fundraising thing was a complete sham.
Right.
I think that's going to be one of the most devastating moments of this whole series.
Will it be that simple? That's the question, is how complicated will his son's response be? Because, from the mouths of babes may become just something like, no, go dad, go, you're done.
I think Walt Jr. turning his back on Walt is one of the last chinks in Walt's armor.
Yeah.
That's one of his last vulnerabilities.
That might actually get to him.
That's going to get through in a way a lot of this other stuff isn't going to.
They're not going to do anything to Walt Jr., to Flynn. I don't think they could.
Not.
As of right now, we can't shoot anything in the studio Labor Day, so we would have to.
You may get a twofer the following week.
You may get a twofer, or we may figure out a way to do it midweek.
Let's just shoot the episode of this before the episode airs.
Right.
Okay. Karnak style.
We'll do like or like Gerald Ford dead today.
Right. I can't believe Todd was killed.
We'll just say a lot of numbers and redub it later like an Italian movie.
All right, then. Thanks, everybody. So we'll be back in some capacity
real soon.
Real soon. Thank you.